Tush, never tell me. I take it much unkindly that thou, Iago, who hast had my purse, as if the strings were thine, shouldst know of this. Hello, Vlogalogue. I can't do a legitimate accent, but this is the only piece of art that I have, well, the only formally recognized piece of art that I have is a printing of Othello, and you can see I have that little first bit memorized, if it'll focus, which it won't, but it does say, it says, Tush, never tell me, etc. Anyway, art, we gotta talk about art. I don't know anything about art. Alex mentioned, yeah, because I don't know where I'm going with this. Alex mentioned that he liked electronics in art. I disagree a lot. Part of it is because I work on the internet, and there's this big movement to design the web, and I'm not a fan because I like the way I like my art is I like it to be very distinct from my utility stuff. I want to have tools that are very efficient and don't look pretty, because when you start making things look pretty, then it's easy for that to break, and then you have to worry about maintaining the prettiness, and it takes away from making the thing more usable. And there are big arguments to be had about how, you know, when you have low, poor design and bad aesthetic, that it does make things harder to learn to use in the first place. But there are tools that I like because I know how they work, even though they may not be intuitive to the first person to come along and try to use the thing. So usability is one of those things where once you've been using something for such a long time that the aesthetics, I think, contribute less and less, and so it bugs me to see electronics kind of swarmed in here. Yeah, art. What is art? I don't know. I can tell you, to paraphrase the Supreme Court Justice, I will know it when I see it. Right? This to me is an example that I like because when you think of, because it's framed as if it were a painting, and the thing that you tend to think of with a painting is like this image, and there are images that I like. I'm a big fan of Du Mort sur le Grand Jet by Georges Seurat, which is the one that's pointillism. I like that. But no, the thing I like this is that it does kind of subvert what you would think of as something framed, and that it is still, I think, because to me there is sort of that big dichotomy from perfect aesthetic and then just ultimate utility. We have this, because like if I were to think about something, like if I'm going to try and convey an image of just like sheer information density, it'd be like a big poster board or a deck stacked covered in papers, and like beautiful mind, all the stuff around the walls and the tacks and things like that. And then you think of aesthetic as being this clear and visually pleasing thing that doesn't convey much, and what it does convey is very ambiguous. That I can go ahead and I can look at that and I can take away something that someone else would not at all. And so I think and so what I like about this is that it kind of merges those two, because it manages to convey, it's an entire freaking play, a Shakespeare play, condensed down. So it's a bunch of information very tightly packed, and yet it's visually pleasing, at least to me. So I like that. But I don't know, I think, and it is the sort of thing where I think when I look at art, I don't know. I really don't know. It's very easy for me to kind of look at things from a technical perspective. I used to be a music major, and I stopped being a music major because all I could hear were the flaws. Like, nope, this wasn't quite, you needed to go push a little further on that to go, and then, yep, and then there you go. So that's what you should have done. To the point where I could no longer kind of enjoy it. And so I think that's kind of a fear that I have about a lot of kind of artistic experiences, that if I try too hard and try and look too deeply and analyze too much, then I'm going to stop being able to enjoy things. And yet, that That hasn't been my experience with other stuff, so maybe, I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of music anymore. I wish I did, but you know, music is such a core part of everybody's lives now that I feel kind of weird about it not really being a thing for me, because when I'm working and doing stuff, I want silence. I don't want music, because I'll start thinking about the music, and then, so for me, I want my art to be very separate from my work. And I think that's something that I enjoy when I look at film and paintings and listen to music and that sort of thing. So that I want something that is so distinct and so different from my day-to-day that it completely flips my worldview around. You know, and that's not to say that it has to be something that's incredibly profound, but just something that is such a high contrast from, you know, what I've been doing, that it just makes me think about things differently. I don't know. I think, to me, it's a hard question, because I think there's... I almost want to go in a different direction and talk about whether... like relaxation and enjoyment and pleasure and hedonism, because I don't know that I'm good at that. Like, even on weekends, I'm like, okay, good, I got time to go work on more stuff. That's good. And so I think art is weird in that way, in that because I can be kind of a workaholic sometimes, I really want to sit down, I want to watch a movie, and I want it to be masterful, but I want it to completely and utterly distract me, and so that I'm, you know, kind of off the clock as much as possible, you know, in short bursts. But at the same time, does that kind of diminish what art is able to do, because I'm bringing in all of this baggage from my own life and kind of framing the art with all of that context, and does that necessarily limit what art is able to do? So I don't know. I have no idea how to answer this question. I apologize. I'll have to leave it to the other Vlogalogians to answer this question better. So I will look forward to watching them. Bye.